Hello, everyone. Welcome to the A11y Chats, our weekly chats that are always real and raw. Um, it's Labor Day weekend, which means summer is coming to a close. And today we'll be wrapping up summer by sharing some of the highs and lows of our summer as people with disabilities. And as always, we welcome everyone to chime in the chat. Hi, Mariella.
Hi, Adriana. Alrighty, so before we get started, we of course have to do audio description to make sure that everyone has access. So my name is Mariela. I am a Hispanic woman. I have dark brown, black hair that I have up in a ponytail. I am in an office with lots of natural light, and I am wearing a black shirt that says "The future is accessible." I'm also wearing overhead headphones. And about me, so I am the founder of Private Hearing, and Private Hearing is an advocacy media company that makes the future inclusive to people with hearing disabilities by hosting training and sharing some of the best practices for accessibility and inclusion from my perspective as someone with a hearing disability. Adriana, who are you?
Yeah, so I am Adriana Malazzi. I am a white woman with ear length dark hair with some silvers in there, and I am a power wheelchair user. I have a purple headdress cover. I'm wearing a black shirt with silvery polka dots, although they look white in the video. And I have a virtual background with a bookcase in it. And I am the founder and CEO of Puffin Innovations, an assistive tech startup giving people with physical disabilities hands-free access to their consumer electronics. So, wireless access, hands-free to their mobile devices and computers, and etc. And yeah, Mariella, take it away.
So one of the things I forgot to mention is that I also have a cochlear implant. So that is really how I hear. But one of the things that we want to be mindful of as we go through today's episode, our second episode, is that the opinions and expressions are really our own perspectives. So with that said, these are our perspectives. And we are very, very unfiltered and raw in this space. This is the goal of creating this space. In this space, we also want this to be a safe space for you to be raw and unfiltered about your experiences. So we want you to use this as a learning space where you can ask your questions and make your comments in the chat. If you have a question or a comment that you don't feel ready to share using your personal name or whatever, we are going to be sharing a link where you can submit anonymous questions that Adriana and I will be looking at throughout the conversation. I believe Adriana will be putting that in the chat. So these are our perspectives, and we are talking about our perspectives, not speaking for the entire community of people with disabilities. So we're going to do summer highs and summer lows. And I'm going to be talking about some of my summer highs this year. So, uh, one of my highlights for this summer, by the way, Adriana, be mindful to mute yourself on the stream yard if you're not talking because it could cause background noise. So
Right.
one of my, unless you want to just like leave it open and jump in with some comments. But one of my highlights from this summer was the 5G for Change in May that Adriana and I did. And so I'm going to audio describe the pictures. On the left is a picture of me, Adam Core, Adriana, and her sister. We were putting together our presentation for Verizon the night before and had this amazing view of the city. And there is on the right hand side a picture of me and Adriana when we were being interviewed. Adriana, what's that picture on the lower left?
So the lower left is an image outside of the hotel, right across the street from the hotel, and it's just the structure. I don't know what it's called,
I think it's
but
called, I always forget, it's like the whale. It's like this structure that just like looks like two hands being folded together. It's a fantastically beautiful work of art.
yeah,
But
and what Mariella, I don't think you mentioned was that this was the first time that Mariella and I met in person.
oh my
In person,
God, yes.
right? Like that was just, it was crazy because we have been working together virtually for over a year now, on different panels, etc. And this was our first time meeting in real life, in person. It was amazing. And here is a clip of our, basically our pitch, a 30-second clip that we're gonna share with all of you, of the day that we pitched at the Verizon office in New York City. It was amazing. And here it is.
Hearing the pitches from each of the contestants of our 5G for Change hackathon.
Mayday would help us facilitate the communication between a person having an emergency and an emergency worker.
People with disabilities are often left behind during a time of crisis.
The emergency situations, every second counts.
With 5G, there is low latency, means that data is transmitted and received very quickly. People with disabilities can get the help that they need efficiently and quickly. So that was our pitch that we did. That was a quick 30-second clip of that time there, and it was just an amazing experience. But
We
yeah,
didn't win. We were
yeah.
so disappointed. So I'm actually going to go into the next slide. So Adriana, explain these pictures. Where was this?
So because we were part of this hackathon, we got to go to the Webby Awards in New York City. It was amazing. It was a star-studded event. Unfortunately, Mariella was not able to attend, which was so sad. But as you can see, I got in the photo on the left. I'm with Keegan Michael Key. I got to meet Keegan Michael Key. In the middle photo is me with, to the left is Mighty, who was on our team. And then to the right is Nancy, who is my travel buddy and helps me out when I
I love
travel.
Nancy. Hi, Nancy, if you're watching this.
We love Nancy. And then in the photo to the right is me with Jordan Klepper, who is from The Daily Show, who we love so much because he basically, shows the truth about what is going on in this country. So it was just an amazing event. Got to see so many people and
You
got
got
to
to
network
meet
with.
Barry Moore.
Yeah, and yes, exactly, Drew Barrymore, which I didn't get to get a picture with.
Drew Barrymore. Yes, I forgot. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
Drew
my God.
Barrymore, but Nancy did get to take a picture with her. And anyway, but let's move on.
Alrighty, let's move on. So the reason I wasn't able, the reason I wasn't able to attend the Webby Awards was because I was off in Austin, Texas, participating at the Access U conference with Nobility, where I am the they are director of marketing. So on the picture on the left is me and then two of my colleagues. There is Anthony Vasquez and Adam, who had been working with us on the Webby Awards project. So it was really, really cool to be able to continue working with Adam in that capacity to happen in this new project, and also to actually meet my colleagues in person. On the top right hand corner, there's a picture of me with one of the attendees for the conference, who is also a friend of mine. His name is Lawrence. He is a student at Harvard University. And we just had so many great conversations about disability, about inclusion, about passing. So that was amazing. And then at the bottom of the picture, there is a picture of Catalina Rivera on the screen. I was able to get Catalina to be one of the keynote speakers for the Access You conference. I think this was her first time being a keynote speaker, which was amazing. And just being able to hear her story, not as a colleague like we're doing, but to just be able to sit back and listen to her story was really, really powerful. So I'm really, really proud of her and like what she's doing. But the Access You conference, you have got to check it out from Nobility. It was a highlight for me in learning about digital inclusion. But let's move on. My next highlight was my wedding. So at the very top is a picture of me leaning into my husband. So strange to say that. Adriana, I don't know how you say that. Like, does it just sink in over time? But there is a picture of me and my husband. Next to him is his whole groomsman and his sister. And on my right hand side is my entire bridal party. Then going from right to left, there's a picture of my bouquet, which was a very bright color bouquet. I Pinterest my entire wedding. I had a vision, Adriana. Then there was my wedding cake, which is white with like flowers on it and flakes of gold. But the highlight of my wedding was the accessibility of my wedding. Girlfriend, we had accessible bathroom. We had an ASL interpreter. We had closed captioning. I had closed captioning for myself the entire wedding. I was like, I cannot miss a word of what is being said. We are going to make this a deaf-friendly wedding. So that was amazing. And I also, and then I'll keep going. We have here my niece. I now have a niece. I've gotten to hang out with my mom and my grandma and my niece. And my niece is like super big right now. So I've gotten to really enjoy some family time this summer. I was able to hang out with friends, pool parties, have fun. I got to try out my water equipment from Advanced Bionics, which was amazing. And another huge highlight for me is the honeymoon. So we got to travel. We flew down to Louisiana and then we road tripped all the way to California. And one of the big highlights for me was hiking the Grand Canyon. We ran down 2 miles and it was a life-changing experience. If you even just look at the vastness of this, it was really a life-changing experience. And I will tell you that hiking the Grand Canyon for me was the scariest thing I have ever done in my life. And this is coming from someone that has jumped out of planes for fun. I get on some crazy adrenaline, like, yeah, this is feeling life. And the Grand Canyon was insane. So yeah, those are those really were my highlights for the summer. And now, Adriana, you go.
Yeah, so during the same week of the Webby Awards, I happened to be in New York for other reasons as well. And as my startup, Puffin Innovations, I was part of the Verizon Forward for Good Disability Innovation Cohort, and this was the culminating event where we did our pitches. And in this image is they're all the co-founders or founders of the startups. They each do disability tech, and we were all on the stage. And so it's me on the stage with other founders. And then our MC, Emily Goodson, who's on the right. She was fabulous. And again, we were part of this cohort for months, and we hadn't met in person until we came for this event. And it was just amazing to be in the same space with each other. And it was just an amazing experience. It was great. Next slide. Yes, and another first that happened. So for those of you who know me very well, know that each year I am asked to speak to different classes at Northeastern and BU, Boston University. And I hadn't been in person for so long, for 2 years, actually. And this image right here is me taking a selfie with the whole class behind me. And it was my first in-person class again. This was at Boston University. And it happened to be the professor's last class ever at BU. Kevin Berner, who is a longtime friend and colleague. And it was just amazing to be back in person doing this again. So really exciting and happy to do that again. Next slide. And then also, while Puffin was part of the Verizon Forward Innovation Cohort, we also were one of the winners of the ServiceNow MIT Solve Digital Inclusion Challenge. And so to the left is a photo of me at one of the Solve events here in Cambridge. And on the screen is the co-founder of 23andMe speaking remotely. So there, we are in an auditorium, and there is a screen, and the person is interviewing her. So the person that's doing the interviewing is on the stage in person while she is up on the screen remotely. And the image to the right is the beautiful view of Boston over the Charles River in Cambridge. We were in Cambridge, and it was just, it's my happy place. I was back, in person doing things, and it was wonderful. Next slide. And then I also got to go to an event for the organization that some of you have heard about in my newsletter recently, called House of Possibilities. This was their annual gala. And the people that I am photographed with, lo and behold, is the nieces and sister-in-law of my cousin's husband. And so they live up here in Massachusetts, and the woman that's to the right of me, or to the left on the screen, the second to the left, is on the board of the organization. And so it was like somewhat of a family reunion to see them after so many years, when the last time I saw them, they were little kids, and now we're all adults. Next screen. Yes, and then, of course, Mariella's wedding, which was amazing. So to the left is a photo of beautiful Mariella in her wedding dress.
Thank you.
And me, and it was just beautiful. And then to the right is a photo of, because Mariella, I was back home in Connecticut, and this is my favorite spot to walk to when I'm back home, which is the view of the beach and the water, and I got to spend time with family, and so that is why I put that up there because I always enjoy being able to have that time, and it was really great to have that time. Alrighty,
Next slide.
next slide.
These were the summer's bummers. So these were our summer's lows. Um, the first bummer, this is me at the pool, just relaxing, living my best life. But I was also very sad this day because this summer I actually ruined two pieces of hearing equipment with water. We don't talk enough about the damage associated with hearing equipment and water. And one of the things that is really important for me to highlight is that these pieces of equipment were actually not covered by insurance. So one is the what is it called? The link cross, which I put on my left side to sync sound into my right side. So that got broken, and I also ruined one of my hearing chargers. Just happened to be in the line of fire during one of our barbecues. And yeah, I now need to be able to come up with the money to pay for those new pieces of equipment. And let me tell you, honey, they are expensive. So I am going to have to dip into my savings to be able to pay for that, for those. Um, the next thing that happened, that was one of my summer lows, is that I found myself just needing a social media break. And I have gotten a few messages over the last few weeks talking about, oh, I feel like I miss you digitally because I haven't really been posting in over 2 months. Um, and that really is because I needed to have a social media break to be present and force myself to be present with the people that I am surrounding myself with. So that was a summer low, but also a very summer high because now I feel more focused and I feel more present. I've been meditating, I've been journaling. So that happened. But I think that the biggest summer low for me has been recognizing that there are certain toxic factors in my space that really were affecting my mental being and my mental health and my well-being in a very general way. And I say that because one of the things that I did this summer is that I went to my first therapy session just to talk to a professional, which was amazing. I am a believer in therapy now. I encourage everyone to take therapy, like, step outside of your circle and talk to somebody else. And so I was dealing with a lot of these feelings, which meant that I needed to take time and step away from social media, step away from people, learn to create boundaries within my life, which I was very bad at doing. And I also needed to get better at saying no because I'm like, yes to life. But I needed to just really take pause and recognize that if I don't take care of myself, I can take care of other people. You cannot fill from an empty cup. So I started creating this kind of like cocoon around myself as I become a butterfly. And one of the last things I want to highlight is that for me, this summer has felt like when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. Apparently, when it's in the cocoon, it goes through a very painful. I don't know how people know that this is a painful process, but apparently, it's a very painful process for the butterfly to liquefy itself and then come out a butterfly. And that's really where I feel like my life is. I'm just in a process where I'm trying to plan and think ahead and figure out what is next. And that has meant creating kind of like a barrier around me to kind of heal myself and really come out a beautiful butterfly, which will be happening this over the next few weeks as you see me and Gianna do more work, more intentional work. So those are my summer lows. What about you, Adriana? What's going on? Oh boy,
Yes. So for
what
me,
has been your summer?
for me, there were two major bummers. One being my chair. So I have a power wheelchair that tilts, and that helps relieve pressure. And so the image on the left is me adapting to my situation. At the time, my footrests already also broke, and so um, I could not reach my footrest because they go up and down. And so when I transfer in and out of my chair, I put my footrest down. And so the image on the left is of me with my legs on two folding chairs under my desk to that way my legs are not just dangling down. But also the tilt feature has broken in my chair, so I can't relieve pressure on my bum, which is another bummer. Uh, and I know, bad pun. Um, and so yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. And then a few weeks ago, to the right is my acceptable minivan. Um, there was road construction on one of the streets that we had to go on, and the asphalt was completely removed, and all of the manholes and all of those things were high up and exposed, um, and with no protection or cones or anything around them. And we thought we cleared it, but because it is a wheelchair accessible vehicle, it's quite low when everything hits. And so as we went around it, it hit the side door. So this is the image of my grayish van with a major messed up door. Um, and as of a day ago, we just learned that because of the extent of the damage, the manufacturer of the components that need to be replaced, so the adapted equipment, will not sell those parts to anyone who is willing to fix the van. Because if any part of the structural integrity, um, is messed up, then they will not sell parts to you to fix it. And now my van is totaled, so I have no van. Even though it was running perfectly fine and it just needed some repairs that would have been significantly less than getting a new vehicle. And that's a new used vehicle, so new to me vehicle, because it costs a lot of money, and that leads back to cost of living with a disability, like Mariella mentioned about the equipment that she accidentally ruined when she was in the pool. Um, just the exorbitant cost of equipment. And so now we're waiting to see how much we will get from the insurance company, and most likely it will not cover the cost of the van. So that is something else that we have to navigate and figure out. So yes, that was my summer bummer this year. Um,
Oh man, we need to talk more about this because I feel like we need to acknowledge that there are factors outside of your control that also cause the situation. And so we need to hold these construction companies accountable in some way because this is not just a you problem. This is a problem that so many other people are experiencing. But let's talk about that offline. So, one of the things that we really want to do now is just conclude. We are at the 30-minute mark almost. And so, as we conclude, overall, it was a very good summer for both of us. And we are ready For fall, we are ready to get focused on the rest of the year. It is now September, so we have September, October, November, December. We have about 3 months left in the year, which is really incredible. This year just went by like up the link, up an eye. It's really important to acknowledge that there is still a lot in front of us. There's still a lot that we need to do. And so it's very important for us to focus on the things that we have control over. As my motto goes, you do what you can where you are with what you have. Adriana, what's coming up next?
So, next week, we are going to talk about school, back to school tips. So, next Friday at 11 a.m. School is in full swing, and for this session, we'll be talking about our back to school experiences as people with disabilities. So, we'll be thinking way back, but we'll also be sharing some best practices for students with disabilities, their parents, their guardians, teachers, and support systems to ensure that students have a great start to their school year and all year round. So that is what we'll be doing or talking about next week.
One of the things we also want to remind you is to register for the A11y conference that Adriana and I are putting together. The A11y conference is a 3-day conference that celebrates the past, present, and future of disability. We're going to explore tools, best practices, and technology benefiting the disability community and their allies. So we need you to go to A11yconference.com. That is A11yconference.com.
Yeah. And also, we would love for you to take a survey of our chats. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what are we doing things well, or are we not doing things well, and what can make us better? What can make these discussions better for you, or what topics you would like for us to discuss? So if you go to bit.ly/A11y Chats survey, so that's A11y CHATSSURVEY, and fill out our survey after watching this. We would really appreciate it. Share your thoughts. Be candid. We love constructive criticism. Don't worry, you won't hurt our feelings. Maybe.
Got it, but still. So one of the last things we're going to ask is make sure that you are following us on social media. You can find me across all social at Project Hearing, and you will be able to find Adriana at
Adriana Malazzi. And then also follow the A11y conference at A11y conference on all social media. So yes, and be on the lookout to help support these chats and our conference. We're going to be creating some swag for the A11y conference, for the A11y chat. And we'll be wearing our swag soon too, so you can see how fabulous it is. And yeah, be sure to tune in next week. And we'll see you then.
Alrighty, until next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.